Hey guys, today I have on my blazer because we are talking all things wine education, specifically WSET Level 3. Well, I'm really excited about this video because it was requested by a lot of you. I know there's tons of you out there that are pursuing WSET Global or interested in it. So I am here to share with you guys my experience specifically on the third level and give you some little tips and tricks to hopefully help you pass. So starting off, just a super quick background about the classes I've taken. I took level 1 and level 2 in person with the Virginia Wine Academy located in Richmond. I really loved taking them in person because I'm much more of like a hands-on person. So personally, I would always try to take the class in person if possible. But due to COVID, that was not possible, so I took level 3 online through the Napa Valley Wine Academy. I was definitely a little nervous for this because level 3 is such a jump from level 2, so I was nervous. But as long as you really do everything that the online course requires you to do, and you ask questions and you attend those online seminars, I think that you'll be okay. Another kind of big difference between level 2 and level 3 are the materials that it goes over. Level 2 focuses heavily on specific varietals, so each chapter is like Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Cab Sauv, that kind of thing, and it's much smaller. So you get to level 3, it's like at least 3 times more the material. Actually, the first half of your WSET Level 3 book is going to be all about your winemaking fundamentals, starting all the way in the vineyard, in the soil, with the grapes and climate, weather, environmental factors. And then from there you kind of move into your winemaking, red, white, rosé, sweet winemaking. From there, like the production, the different maturation methods, all of that. So kind of covers some wine laws and things like that. So that's like your first half of the book. And then you start to get in, the chapters are broken up by countries and regions. So it starts off with France, you have your Bordeaux, Burgundy, Loire Valley. It goes into depth about each of those regions, and then you kind of move around to different countries. So Germany, Austria, Spain, Italy. You hit all of those main countries that grow grapes, the main regions within those countries, and then the styles of wine and the varietals that those countries produce. The book ends with your fortified wines. So you've got your port, your sherry, and then it does go over sparkling wines as well. And then the materials that you get with your WSET 3 is your main textbook. Well, this is going to be your main textbook. And you also receive your specification. So the specification is great. Basically tells you everything you need to know for the exam. Basically, it's just telling you that you need to know everything in this book, essentially. But then you also have a really great study guide that WSET gives you. This is so helpful. So I love the study guide because it gives you maps, and it also gives you tasting pages, this, which is awesome. WSET 3 through Napa Valley online, they sent me a bunch of little bottles to taste with every week, and it just was included, so that was a huge perk with them as well if you guys are interested in taking the course through them. It also comes with theory questions, like example theory questions, and then a 50 question multiple choice practice exam, which was like so nice. So that's your study guide. And then you also have your wine lexicon. So this is something that you guys will need to memorize for your tasting portion of the exam. So you actually need to know literally everything on this sheet, but It's not as bad as it sounds because you'll use this every week while you're practicing your tasting, and you'll just kind of start to memorize it over time. This helps you become such a better taster, and it's really like so exciting. Towards the end of the course, you can really tell like how good you get, so it's awesome. Like I mentioned, I took the course online. So just briefly going over kind of the structure, it was 9 weeks long, and it really just goes kind of through the book. It jumps around a little bit when you get to the different countries, but then you have exercises each week, you have tastings, you have some writing things you have to do. I mean, technically you don't have to do them because the only thing you're ever graded on is your exam. But my recommendation is to complete all of those because those exercises will really set you up for success on your theory and your multiple choice. And then if you can attend the seminars live, this allows you to ask questions. So when you're tasting together as a group, it's so helpful. So definitely recommend attending those live if possible. But also just don't get too far behind because I know like life happens and everything, but you want to try to be on the same pace as everybody else so you have others in your class to like ask questions, especially your teacher, because once your course is over, you don't really have access to that anymore, and then you just have to like fend for yourself to like try to take this exam. So definitely try to stick with the timeline as much as possible. Next, the exam process. Now, everybody's might be a little bit different, but I'm just going to let you know my personal one. So I took it through the Napa Valley Wine Academy, and they have several exam locations around the United States. I chose to take mine in Napa so I could make a wine tasting trip out of it, which was great, but it was a long trip. So we flew in the day before my exam so I could just have like a good night's rest before, and I believe my exam was at like 9 a.m. on a Sunday. So you get there, you check in, and actually our very first part of the exam was the tasting portion, and this was the part that I was like the most nervous for, so I was freaking out. It was good. It honestly was not as bad as I thought it would be. Just, you guys, like, practice. Seriously, practice. Like, that's really all I can say about the wine tasting portion because you don't know what you're gonna get. Like, they typically say they won't give you a sparkling wine or a fortified wine, which is nice. In my case, I actually did know what I had tasted after I was finished. Our personal exam, we first tasted a Sansar. Our second one was a Cabernet Sauvignon from Coonawarra. I didn't know where this Cab Sauv was from. I just knew that it was a Cab Sauv. But the thing about WSET is you don't have to guess the varietal. You don't even have to guess where it's from. You just have to know basically all of the structural characteristics. You go through the appearance, the nose, everything on the palate, and the finish. And if you know all of that, you should be able to conclude what kind of wine it is and hopefully where it's from, just due to everything that you've studied. They don't make you put that down. It's all based off of, I believe it's 25 points for each wine. Our facilitator did tell us right away what the wines were, so that way we had an idea like, okay, I did put those right characteristics down or I was way off. So that was super, super nice. So after our tasting portion, we actually all exited the room. They cleaned up all of our glasses, and you have, oh, by the way, you have 20 minutes to do the 2 wines. So we did the 2 wines, came back in, and then we had our theory and our multiple choice. And you're able to do whichever one you want to first. So I think I did the theory part first because I knew that would be harder and I just wanted to get it over with. Then you never know with multiple choice exams, sometimes you can find an answer in that to like help you. So it's nice if you want to bounce back and forth between the 2, but it's 50 questions, multiple choice. Definitely the easiest part of the exam overall. And then for theory, it was like, I want to say like 5 theory questions. I don't, but you know, each question kind of had a couple like ABC like parts to it. That was definitely tough. I'm not gonna say it was easy. There's always a question on either fortified or sparkling. Mine had sparkling, and I think like a question about sherry, which, you guys, the sherry stuff, like, it's tough, but just spend time on it and know it. Like, it's so tedious to learn, but like, you have to. It really didn't take me too long to complete, and I also had a pretty good feeling after I left. And then my results took, they said 8 weeks, but it's COVID, so round of grading there, and then they send your results to the UK for another round of grading, and then they send them back. So it actually took like almost 4 months for me to get my results. But then I found out I passed with distinction. And I believe passing with distinction is 85% or higher. But they also have like passing with merit, which I think is like 75% or higher. When you're finished, you get this little certificate and your pin. So the most important thing about the entire course is how you study and what you study, because that is what is going to help you pass. So I would recommend always studying throughout your course. It does kind of depend on when you take your exam. I personally took my exam 2 weeks after I finished my course because I knew if I delayed it any longer, I would like lose motivation and not study. So that was me personally, but you do you. The biggest thing, you know, people want to know, well, what do I need to know? Honestly, you need to know the whole book. And it's so annoying when people say that, but it's true. But there are certain things that are maybe a little more important than others, and certain things that you should really focus on. You know, a smaller percentage of maybe winemaking things, and a larger percentage on the regions and the wines themselves. Like I said, read the whole book. I would recommend reading it through twice. Some people read through it even more than that. The second time I read through, though, is when I started to make those flashcards, because you can pick out the topics and the words that are bolded and make those into flashcards. I used Quizlet because I was not going to write out, I seriously think I made like 500 flashcards, you guys. Like, there's so much information you need to know, and if you're just able to type it out, and when you're typing it out, you're also comprehending, you're remembering things. So it's really great to make your own and not just use somebody else's you find on Quizlet. And then went through them so many times, even just like while I'm, you know, eating lunch or something, like going through them. So that was one thing that really helped me there. Another thing was online, using all of the materials that they give you online. So compiling all of the questions they have you do and all the exercises and your answers and your classmates' answers, and going over those or turning those into flashcard questions was really helpful. Since I'm such a visual learner, my biggest thing was drawing these maps. So I'll zoom in here in a second so you can see, but basically I just got like a really big like sketch pad, and I started with going through each map through the book. I would draw everything, freehand draw everything, and then label each region and the wines and the climates, the environmental factors. Sometimes the soil I would add in here. It's a lot. I can't even believe I did all of this looking through it, but I'll show you. So like here's an example of Bordeaux. So I started with France. These are kind of what mine look like. We have Burgundy. So like I said, I freehand drew all of these, and then I put in all of the information that I felt like I needed to know. There's some more. This one has a lot of extra stuff. Like this is crazy. Oops, that's upside down. This is crazy. It's a lot, you guys. It's a lot. I can't even tell you guys enough like how much this helped me. So I seriously did every single little tiny map, and then at the back of my notebook I made a page for each of the wine laws in each country and what they entail and the main parts to it. And then like for sherry, for example, and port, I like drew out pictures of what the process looks like, because that's also kind of like a visual thing that you need to learn. Same with like sparkling wines, and it's really a lot of information, but the biggest thing I can say is just organize it in a way that makes sense to you. Like if I gave somebody this notebook, they might look at it and be like, okay, this doesn't make any sense at all. Maybe the maps will make a little bit of sense, but even then, like I freehand drew them, so people are like, that doesn't look anything like Bordeaux. Like, it's just, you have to really do what works for you. So if you know you're a visual learner, definitely draw your maps. You can trace them if you want, you can freehand them, color coordinate the different, you know, climate areas or something, or draw arrows on the name and what varietals and the different styles, stuff like that. So you really have to do what works for you. So now I'm gonna answer some of your guys' questions. I know I kind of answered most of them in this video, but how was the tasting portion of the exam? Not as bad as I thought it was, just practice. Do you feel like your tasting improved so much just practicing and knowing all that stuff on the wine lexicon? Like, really, really helps. Any web-based applications you recommend? Quizlet, for sure. I loved Quizlet, but also there's interactive maps online. If you just look up like interactive wine region map, you can like click on those, and that's kind of fun to do. How did you study for the essay questions? They have those practice ones in the study guide, which is really nice, and so I definitely did those. And then, kind of like I said, the biggest thing that will set you up for those essay questions are your exercises you do with your class and with your instructor. Oh, and they also have like quizzes online that you can do through the course. Some of those quiz questions are like exact questions you might get. So some people want to know why get WSET certified? What is it? So basically it's just a really great way to expand your wine knowledge, and people that work in the industry, they know what WSET Global is. It's definitely necessary for certain jobs when you want to work in the wine industry. Some people work in wine production, wine distribution, wine education. That's kind of what I'm hoping to go more towards. I mean, my blog overall, the focus is like just wine education in general. So just like sharing and teaching people like through my blog and through my experiences. So that's why I'm personally getting it. And then my next step after this would be level 4, which is the diploma level. They usually say it's 2 to 3 years of studying and courses and exams. So that would be the next step. But I'm really happy with where I'm at right now. I was honestly so intimidated and so nervous to even start level 3 because everyone said it was such a big jump from level 2. But it's so worth it, and the amount of knowledge I have now versus what I had just had at level 2 is just like so much more. So it also really just makes me excited to keep learning. With wine, like, there's always more to learn. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, if you do have any other questions, just like comment below and let me know. I will see you guys next time.